Happy Monday, you're watching video 92, and today we are talking about last month's real estate performance. As we enter the historically slower portion of the real estate season, it's critical to remain updated with what our current real estate market's status is. September marks the beginning of the fourth quarter, and I love to see where we are on track or where we are going by using September as sort of the indicator or the driver of what quarter four is going to be looking at. So today we're going to be looking at everything from the supply and demand aspects. We talk about units, and then of course pricing, and then we'll be finishing up with expired. Same thing we've been doing for the last 91, 92 videos. So I'm just going to jump right in. The first thing we're going to be looking at is new units that entered the market in September. And as you can see here, when looking at last September, it was around the same of 627 units in 2018 and 622 this year. This next chart shows all units that are on the market that are currently for sale. So you'll see a 14.2% decrease when comparing this September with last September. Overall units for sale were down by 14%, but when looking at contracted properties, those were up by 21.6%. This is a chart I really like looking at. It shows sold units. So we know that for sale listings were down, so the supply is down, but contracts were up. And then this one demonstrates demand. So we had a decrease in supply, but an increase in demand. It's extremely great news for our market. This chart here shows the median price point of for sale units on the market. So when looking at last year, we saw an increase of about 1% in that overall listing price point. So it took us from $311,000 up to $315,000 for the median asking price. This is a great chart to reference when you're trying to determine how overpriced a listing is. We know that the median for sale price is $315,000, and when looking at this chart, we can see that the median under contract price is $281,000. So that's the price that a listing will reduce to essentially before it goes under contract. So we know that the median for sale price is $315,000, the median under contract price is $281,000, which leads us to sold units, and the median sold price is $277,000. And believe it or not, that's a 4.3% decrease from last year. We saw an increase in the continuous days on the market this year by about 12%. So last year, the average days on the market was around 62 for September, and this September, it increased up to 69 days. And last but certainly not least, expired listings. Last year, we had 181 expired listings in the month of September, and this year we had 219. That is a 21% increase. All right, guys, so my three big takeaways for September's real estate market are going to be as follows. Coming in at number one, we saw a 14% decrease in the amount of for sale units on the market when looking at September of last year and comparing it to September of this year. That's a pretty significant amount considering that the inventory out there, everyone thinks it's a little bit high, but this number demonstrates that, in fact, supply is actually down. Takeaway number two, so we saw a decrease in the amount of supply on the market for the month of September. However, we saw an increase in contracts by 21% and an increase of sold units by 11%. So people, this means that we do have an increase in demand. And takeaway number three, we saw a 4.3% decrease of the median sold price of properties this September when comparing it to last September. Now, this is significant because what this is essentially doing is this decrease in the sold price is what drove up the actual demand of these properties. So we did see a decrease in the amount of supply on the market, but when we looked at contracts and of course sold units, there was a pretty strong amount of an increase. So we know that demand is there and supply was down, and the only way that this really happens is by pricing. So seeing that there was a 4.3% decrease in pricing, it makes sense that the demand out there was just churning and stirred up to buy some property. Pretty exciting stuff seeing how quarter four is developing and going to develop over the next few months. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave it in the comment section or shoot me a DM. Other than that, I appreciate your time. I thank you for watching. Again, I already said that, but whatever. I'll see you next Monday. In takeaway number three, we saw a 4.3% decrease